Dr. Amin Davoudi. I'm an assistant professor of bilingual and ESL education here at the University of Texas Permian Basin, which is located in West Texas. And the topic of my today's talk is AI as a co-teacher, transforming second language writing and speaking pedagogy. And the reason that I wanted to focus on writing and speaking is most of the time when I deal with teachers, they share their concerns and challenges that they have when it comes to teaching productive skills. And I also asked Santiago about the fact that if this is also a big concern for teachers in Colombia, and he mentioned that yes, definitely they deal with a lot of challenges when it comes to second language writing and speaking. So that would be the focus of this talk. Depending on how much time we have, we may be able to look at examples of AI integration for both. If not, we will definitely focus on writing, and then I will show you in practice how you can integrate AI for speaking as well. But before beginning, let me thank Santiago and the rest of the Nariño team, TESOL Network in Colombia, for inviting me and for hosting this event. So I'm going to show you. Yeah, go ahead.
Dr. Davoudi, we cannot see your entire screen. We can see your presenter view as well.
Oh, okay. So let me fix
so
that.
You know.
Yeah, sure. What I'm gonna do is, okay, so that makes it a little bit challenging. Let me go ahead and duplicate my screen. If I share my screen, you should be able. Do you still see the presenter mode?
Yes.
Okay, that is weird. So let me see. Give me 1 second. Okay. I'm gonna do extend and then share. So I'm gonna share my second screen.
Okay.
And this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna see if I can. So do you just see the background of my desktop now?
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead. Just wonder why it's giving me a hard time to. Okay, so I will come up with a compensatory strategy. And here's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna share my first screen again. Now at least it's bigger, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
The reason that I wanted to do this is because I want to drag you and all the participants to the second screen so that I can at least see what's going on in the chat and everything. Yes. So that's why it's giving me a hard time with that. As long as it is big enough, you're happy.
That's
okay.
Much better.
Okay, cool. So plus I don't have animation, so I'm not worried about animations in the slides. Okay, so the second slide basically summarizes whatever I want to say in this talk, and basically it summarizes my main argument recently, which has been we don't need to rush into using AI. Unfortunately, I see that all the time, that a lot of principals, school district authorities, depending on the structure of the organization, directors of education, they're just pushing and trying to motivate their teachers to use AI, which is good in a sense that they know that this would be the part of the future of education. However, in a way, it is also sad because not a lot of teachers know how to use AI. And if you don't know how to use AI, it's going to make your life as a teacher really, really miserable. So that's the whole point of this talk, to learn how, when, and why we need to use AI, and when, how, and why not. Sometimes we need to worry about AI and using it. So basically, the agenda of today's talk includes discussions on whether it's our friend or our enemy. Then I will discuss some of the concerns that I've received from teachers that I work with regarding the use of AI. And also then I will argue how and when and why we need to use AI, or probably we don't need to use AI. That's as important. And then I will introduce a framework that I have developed for teachers to make their life easier, to know when they can use AI. So it's a set of questions, very easy yes/no questions that can guide them to learn when they can actually integrate AI. And then I will show a lot of examples. And for the sake of this presentation, because ChatGPT has become kind of like the mascot of AI, and it has become the most popular platform, and it has a free version, although it's not the best, but GPT 3.5, which is free, so a lot of teachers use that. So for the sake of this presentation, I'm going to use AI and ChatGPT sometimes interchangeably, because that would be the platform that a lot of these examples, are based on. So here, basically, I wanted to discuss a very important question: whether artificial intelligence is an enemy for teachers, is an enemy to teachers, or it can be considered as a companion or a friend, or even a kind of like a source of support. Well, it depends how we look at the situation. So if we are one of those traditional teachers who are usually concerned whenever a new technology comes into play, or whenever there's a new tendency towards using certain tools that they are not used to, and they are historically kind of resistant to new changes, especially when it comes to technology, well, definitely we would argue that it can be considered as our enemy. However, I would like to mention that a lot of those teachers, when they go through proper training and they realize how easy the situation would be if they know basically how to use AI, I think that changes changes their mind. Santiago, would you do me a favor? Uh, it is just so distracting for me. I receive all the notifications and everything. So would you remove me as the co-host? Just make me a presenter. I'm just so sorry. Because it just sends me a lot of notifications.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm gonna do something new with the hope that this is gonna solve the issue as well. So you don't see my screen, do you? No, but now you see it. Yes?
Yes.
And it's bigger, yeah? It's in a slide mode?
Yes.
Yeah, I just need to change the setting. Okay, thank you so much for removing me as a co-host. So I was basically talking about the fact that if they know how to use it, if they receive proper training, then it would be very easy for them to use and integrate AI. So part of the resistance comes from lack of knowledge and lack of expertise and lack of experience in using artificial intelligence. So the answer to this question could be both. It could be considered as an enemy, foe, or a friend, depending who we ask and depending on the kind of experiences that we have. So in the next slide, you're gonna see some of the concerns that teachers have shared in different research studies regarding the integration of AI, from technical challenges to over-reliance on technology to student impact and ethical concerns. These are some of the challenges that teachers usually, show concern about, because they have been using AI for a while now, and these are the challenges that they have faced. So let's just look at each one and try to come up with some examples. So technical challenges. So I remember we had a special AI training for some of our local teachers in the school districts here in West Texas. And one of the questions that they kept asking was about these technical challenges. For example, I do not have the premium version. So what happens? What are the limitations? I wanted to create a picture, but I wasn't able, apparently, my account has some issues. No, it wasn't the account. It was the fact that they were using GPT 3.5, which doesn't have that feature. When we say technical challenges, it could be something as easy as that, as simple as not having access to the premium version of, for example, of ChatGPT, or even to something even more basic. Not all the school districts, even in the US, have good Wi-Fi connections. It's the same case in many developing countries. So we have a lot of technical challenges. And as I said, teachers are not, fully trained how to use AI. So then we have the over reliance on technology. A lot of teachers argue that sometimes when they use technology a lot, in this case AI, that would probably make students lazy in a way that they can only do their assignments and do the activities if it is based on AI, if it is AI integrated. So they argue about over reliance on technology. Then some of them are concerned about loss of human interaction because as teachers we always brag about how good we are in terms of communication, connections to children, and our students. So some people don't see that in AI and in technology, which is a very interesting standpoint, because we will later argue that AI gives us what we ask for. So it's very interesting when they say that they do not see that human interaction. First of all, what do we mean? If we mean human to human, yes, obviously we are not dealing with another human being when we are working with AI. Second, AI is just a tool, another tool that can help human to have even better interactions. So I think there is a philosophical debate there, what they mean by loss of human interaction. But mostly, again, is that old school of thought that teachers can teach better, teachers communicate with the students, which is true. But the problem is that they think that AI, or in the past it was robots, they're kind of like their rivals. That is not the case. These are just tools that good teachers with good pedagogical rationale can use to provide better instruction. So they're not competing against us. We are controlling them. We have built them as just tools so that we can use them. Again, there are questions about dependability and accuracy of AI, talking about reliability, validity of the output that we receive. And also, some people talk about the accessibility and equity because they believe that it creates even more issues when it comes to access to education, which in some cases could be true because, as I said, not every school districts even have connections, good Wi-Fi connections, for example. However, we should acknowledge the fact that when we are talking about integrating AI into education, we're talking about situations where they have the resources. So obviously, if they do not have the resources, then we don't need to even worry about it. Then again, professional development needs and training, which is a very important issue. It's like a key concept when it comes to artificial intelligence integration into education, because unfortunately, as I said, a lot of people, have been rushing teachers and, forcing them into using AI without proper training. And then there are also concerns regarding the student impacts and ethical concerns as well. So if we move forward, then we can look at some of the benefits of using AI and my stance on it, which is basically my main argument is that we should, as educators, try to embrace AI, but we need to do that responsibly. And we also need to do that with integrity. So if we are using AI for something, whether it's writing something, creating an activity, a lesson plan, at least we should acknowledge that we use this tool. There is no shame in acknowledging that we are using AI. It actually makes you look smarter because you're using a tool that can help your job, that can help you do your job better. So that's part of it. But also there's another aspect to it, which is the fact that it can help us a lot when it comes to, for example, assessment and feedback, even creating engaging materials and learning. So it contributes a lot to material development as well. And also it can help us to have better collaborative activities in our classroom. So although a lot of teachers, as I showed to you, argue and discuss the fact that they have seen students over reliance on technology and AI, on the other hand, we have other teachers who have been using AI responsibly and have been able to produce more collaborative, activities into their teaching and into their pedagogical practices. So these are some of the important issues that we need to take into account when it comes to using AI responsibly and basically uh, enhancing education with integrity when it comes to using AI. So the next slide is basically the core essence of this presentation, which is technology makes a good teacher a better one and a bad teacher a worse one, as it only magnifies who you are as an educator. And this has been my, my stance on the whole technology assisted, language education. And I'm not only referring to AI. So if as a teacher you are a good teacher, meaning that you know the pedagogy, you know the curriculum, you know what kind of strategies you need to use, then integrating technology and using tools, technological tools, definitely can help you to become more efficient. But if you're a struggling teacher, let's just use the adjective bad, meaning that you don't know how and why you're using certain, methodologies and techniques in your pedagogy, pedagogical practices. If you don't know the curriculum well, if you don't know how to connect to your students, then just integrating a technological tool, which could be anything like artificial intelligence or any other tools, it will not necessarily help you because technology just magnifies who you are as a teacher. So it may even make you a less effective teacher. So that is the whole argument. So, and I have this argument based on the fact that I always believe that pedagogy should precede technology, meaning that pedagogical, implications, pedagogical philosophies that we have, pedagogical understandings that we have, and pedagogical goals that we have should come first. Then we need to, based on all those pedagogical, philosophies that we have, pedagogical needs that we have, look for a tool. That tool might be a certain type of technology. It might not even be technology, or it might be a certain technology which is popular these days, which can be artificial intelligence. So the whole point is that, and my number one piece of advice to teachers is do not force yourself into using artificial intelligence if you don't know why you're going to use that. And this is not something that novice teachers deal with. Unfortunately, a lot of experienced, even higher education professors struggle with this as well. So I was at a conference recently. It was a AI conference, but for higher education teachers, like basically for university professors. And I attended a couple of sessions in which those professors, researchers integrated AI into their teaching from different disciplines. And when I asked the simple question, why did you decide to use AI for this particular, course? The answer was everyone is using AI, so it's just, why not us? That's not a good answer. When I ask that question, I need a good pedagogical answer. So if I say, why did you, let's say I ask Santiago, why did you include artificial intelligence in your writing course, for example, second language writing course? Then he tells me, because I have 85 students in my class, they are writing 5 essays per week. And although I do my best to provide high quality, good feedback, I cannot do that all the time for all of them. So I'm using AI as a co-teacher to help me to provide feedback on my students' essays. That's a very good, reasonable answer. Santiago, did you like that answer? Yeah, so he liked it. In that imaginary situation, he's persuading me that because there's a pedagogical need, he's looking for a certain technological tool, which is in this case, let's say AI or ChatGPT. But if I ask him, why did you use artificial intelligence for your second language writing course? And he tells me, because now everyone is looking AI, I don't want to feel that I'm behind the field. That's not a good answer. It just shows that there is not a good pedagogical reason. So if you do not have a good pedagogical reason, just don't worry about AI, or even don't worry about any other tools if you don't know why you're going to use them. Well, there is a difference between exploring and trying things out than actually implementing them into your classroom. So sometimes as a teacher, you may hear about a new technology or a new tool, and out of curiosity, because you always want to improve, which is great. So you may want to go and give it a try, but you can do that as like a trial or something, maybe with not your real students, maybe on yourself, to figure out if it has something to contribute to your class. That is different. What I'm talking about is those teachers who do not have good pedagogical reasons, but all they try to do is to integrate a new technology because everyone else is doing the same. That is wrong. So again, going back to my argument, it makes you a better teacher if you're a good one. It makes you a worse teacher if you're a bad one, because pedagogy should precede technology. Technology itself is not going to revolutionize your teaching. It's going to revolutionize your teaching if you know why you're using it and when and how to integrate that into your teaching. So everything that I'm talking about is basically about pedagogical fit. So that should be the number one concern that we have as educators, to be able to integrate technologies into our pedagogy whenever there is a need for that. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna go and try to drag. So Santiago, do you still see the slide? Just give me a thumbs up.
Yes.
Is it the same? Is it the biggest concern pedagogical fit, the slide? Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open a Word document. Let me see if I can find this, or a PDF document in this case. Drag it here. So now you see the PDF document? Okay, cool. Yeah, because it's kind of hard to show this model on using PowerPoint because it's just the size and everything. So this is a framework that I have created for teachers to be able to basically self-evaluate their decisions regarding whether they need to use artificial intelligence or any other technologies into their classes or not. So what I'm going to do, okay, so I just copied that here as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about all these different steps and give you examples. So as you can see, here at the top, we have identify AI's potential in teaching framework. So basically, I want you as a teacher to ask yourself, have you identified the tool? Because even when it comes to artificial intelligence, it's just so hard these days to just keep up with all the new changes and recent developments. Have you identified the tool? Let's say you did. Okay, so you're going to use ChatGPT. So you have a good pedagogical reason. You have identified the pedagogical reason, and now you have identified the tool, let's say ChatGPT. So the answer is yes. If the answer was no, here's what I recommend. I recommend you to continue with existing teaching methodologies. But if the answer is yes, you can basically go ahead and integrate the tool, which in this case is AI, into your curriculum. So how are you going to do that? Look at the next steps. So I want you to think about whether it's going to enhance pedagogy. I know I said in the beginning, you need to worry about pedagogical reason, then start asking these questions again. But it's a very good idea to ask this question even after identifying the tool. Can really AI enhance pedagogy in this case? If the answer is no, you are not, or even if the answer is not no, it is you're kind of like so, you don't know, you cannot come up with a good pedagogical reason. So maybe you need to go ahead and further explore all the tools which are available out there and delay your adoption. You don't necessarily need to adopt it now. But if you have a good pedagogical reason and you think it's going to enhance your pedagogy, yeah, why not? Say yes. Then if you say yes, you would go to the next part of this model that I developed, which is to embrace, in this case, AI innovations in language education. And then you need to look for resources and PD programs. PD stands for professional development, training. So if there are no training available, if there are no resources available, how are you going to be able to use the tool, in this case, AI or ChatGPT, effectively? So if the answer to this question is no, I would argue that you need to seek additional training or collaboration with peers. But if the answer is yes, you have been trained or you know there are professional development opportunities, then you can go ahead and go to the next step, which is you need to navigate ethical implications and validate AI's educational impact. So how are you going to do that? You need to review the ethical standards, and then you need to have peer validation established as well. What do I mean by that? Okay. So you know the pedagogical reason why you're going to use certain tool, in this case AI. You know that the tool, you identify the tool, you identify the pedagogical benefit of it, you know that it can enhance your teaching. You are aware of certain trainings and professional developments. So basically, you're going to go through the training and then you're going to implement the technology. But what if the technology output, the AI's output, is not valid, is not reliable? How are you going to check for that? Here's what you can do. I refer to this as peer validation. So you can reach out to your friend, teacher, to your supervisor, to someone that you trust, and you know that that person is knowledgeable enough so that you can at least, for again, like a trial and error, try it out to see if the responses are good enough. And then obviously you need to review the ethical standards. Well, we have some general ones. You need to acknowledge the fact that you're using AI. You can only use AI for education, in my opinion, if it is under the supervision of a human being, a human teacher, which is going to be you as the teacher in this case. But I would also like to remind you that some organizations, schools, and universities, they have their own internal ethical standards. So you need to worry about that one as well and try to follow it. So if the answer is no again, so then you need to develop strategies to address ethical issues, and then seek peer guidance. But if the answer is yes, you can go ahead and implement AI in your teaching practices. Just compare this model to what a lot of teachers are doing these days, which is they go and they come up with a tool with a certain AI platform. They use it without knowing why they are using it, without receiving proper training, without receiving any type of professional development, and they just jump into using it. But look at all these steps that you need to follow, in my opinion, so that you would come up with a good strategy and a good plan to use any tools, any platforms. So this was the model. Going back to these slides, and again, give me a thumbs up, Santiago, if you see this slide. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to focus on AI-assisted language learning and then writing, because as I said, I had a conversation with Santiago, and he told me that that's also one of the challenges that teachers deal with in Colombia. Second language writing and speaking, depending on how much time we have. So, but I wanted you to look at the literature as well, and to realize that there is a good, amount of research in the literature showcasing the power of artificial intelligence in language learning education. For example, to promote engaging and adaptive learning, or even to enhance learning for students and assisting teachers, and to provide personalized instruction with authentic materials. So personalized learning, enhancing personalized learning and customizing learning experiences is something that I've always been concerned about, because I think it's such a big and important issue. Not everyone learns the same way. So if we can use artificial intelligence to promote personalized instruction, I think that's a great thing. So going to the next slide, focusing on writing, we have some evidence in the literature that it can help writers to generate better ideas and to be more efficient when it comes to writing. And also some studies show that it can help writers with their organization, like writing organization, talking about how it can improve grammar, spelling, even sometimes the cohesion and coherence, and choice of word, definitely. And also there's a study on how ChatGPT can help even researchers and academicians, professors, to produce more meaningful research studies. So going back to the question why we need to use AI for writing, one of the reasons is that a lot of people have been using it in academic writing at higher education level, researchers, but we also know that our students are using it as well. So if we can come up with a good pedagogical reason, it would be a good time to think about integrating AI because a lot of our students are already using it. And also, some research studies show that teachers have been using AI, even those who haven't been motivated, encouraged, or forced by their school districts. And as I said, again, researchers use it for conducting research. So it's a good time in terms of having everybody, you know, focusing on AI, talking about all these new tools. But again, we shouldn't be worried about using it if we don't have the pedagogical reason. Just because something is cool and it's like a fashion now, we shouldn't rush into using it. But we have if we have a good pedagogical reason, these are other good reasons that can motivate us to think about integrating AI into writing. But there should be a question as well whether there is adequate training on responsible AI use, which I already argued, and I think unfortunately the answer is likely not. So if that is the case, then we need to have deeper discussions on integrating AI responsibly into academia and basically into schools as well. So focusing on AI assisted writing, I can argue that there are many different reasons why it can be helpful. It can cultivate critical thinking. It can encourage reflection. It can improve research skills and enhance argumentation skills. Also, I'm always a fan of learning the languages beyond classroom, like ESL beyond classroom. If you're familiar with that literature, so there is also a part in that literature focusing on writing, learning writing, and enhancing writing beyond classroom, meaning that a lot of the writing learning experiences happens outside the classroom. So if AI can contribute to that, actually a great thing. So then we have continuous learning, which is also very important because it can help students to have to see basically the growth of their writing skills, and it can help them over even a long and short period of time. So it can be used both for short periods of time, but it can also be used for longer periods of time. Talking about like the process of writing, which is going to be the focus of uh, many of the examples I'm going to use in this presentation. Then again, talking about accessibility and inclusivity, and obviously, uh, if y'all agree that the future of education would be probably uh, AI integrated or more towards integrating technology, so why not preparing our students for the future? So these are all reasons that we can have for using AI. If again we have the pedagogical reasons as well, these are just some other reasons that are available in the literature as well. So, but how can AI help us as teachers? It can help us with the organizational tools like structuring arguments and ideas, like prompts, like even for language enrichment, for choice of word and vocabulary selection. But it can also help us with the style and tone and formatting, and again, grammar and spelling checks. But we have already been using artificial intelligence for some of these reasons. So when you want to send a text message to your friend and you get like a I don't know, sometimes two or three recommended words from your iPhone. So basically, that's exactly what ChatGPT does, but the scope is limited. So obviously, ChatGPT is a large language model; it's generative, so it produces meaningful sentences and paragraphs. But the technology is basically what we have been using for years now. So it shouldn't be scary to us. It's just the scope, which is obviously really different than something like uh, you know, getting a list of recommended words for your text message. So now I want to show you a couple of examples from one of my research studies, good and bad examples. The first one comes from an EFL teacher in the Middle East, where she argued that AI promotes individual learning, it demotivates the students to learning groups, and it basically promotes self-study. So these are all big claims. When she talked about these, I had long conversations with her, wanted to know why she believed that, AI does all these bad things. Then I realized that it was because of the way she was using it. So this is the prompt that she used to create an assignment, which was supposed to be a game based on a vocabulary list. So the prompt was create a game for my elementary language learners using the following word list. Learners are given a set of ingredients, utensils, or cooking actions in the target language. They must construct grammatically correct sentences using these elements. So basically, you see ChatGPT's response is boring. It is definitely promoting individual learning, as Sarah mentioned, and maybe it's good for self-study. So it is not what she wanted to receive. But the interesting point is that it is not what she asked ChatGPT to do, because you're going to get exactly what you ask for. She asked for a game for elementary language learners, which is good. She specified the level. Then she provided the list of words and wanted the game to be based on that word, that word list. And that's exactly what she got. So this game was supposed to be for elementary language learners, well, based on the choice of words which was given by the teacher. So it basically matches that expectation. But the problem is that it's just so simple, it's just so boring, there's no group work. But she didn't ask for that. So when I trained her how to be a good prompt writer, and we came up with the next prompt, so the result was way different. So this is the revised prompt. Design a group game for elementary language learners using the following word list, aiming to engage all the students in the class and foster collaborative learning. So you see, we specified the level, we specified the source for the game, which was a word list that we provided. We mentioned the goal, which was to foster collaborative learning, and we even mentioned that we wanted to engage all the students in class. So compare this with this prompt: create a game for my elementary language learners using the following word list. So it is way different, and obviously the response that we got was way different, and it was so good. So it created a game for us which is called Cooking Vocabulary Team Challenge. So it gave us some information on the team formation, vocabulary list, sentence building relay. Then it mentioned that teams must take turns building a sentence collectively. Then collaborative sentence creation was another part of the game. Then the students must actively listen to their teammates, even promoting, group work. Even it included information on rotation and variation, because we don't want the same students to work with the same peers all the time. And even it created a peer assessment. So you can see that the game is more interactive. It is more towards collaborative learning. It is more towards basically working with peers and working with everybody in the class. And it all happened because we revised the prompt from that simple one sentence prompt that Sarah had to this one, which provided enough information for ChatGPT. So we were using the same platform, we were using the same tool, but the problem with this one was that the teacher didn't know how to create a prompt, and it wasn't her fault. She didn't have training. But here, when we created a good prompt, look at the difference. That's what we got. I'm going to show you another example. Then I'm going to, because these are, mostly focusing on writing, then I'm going to show one example in practice, how you can create speaking activities. I'm also worried about the time as well. So this comes from another teacher in East Asia, arguing that AI can promote cheating, can make language learners lazy, and it interferes with teachers' instructional models. So all of these feelings, I would say, which were true at that time, came from a bad experience. This was the experience. Jack was forced by his principal to integrate AI for writing, and help his students to use AI, ChatGPT in this case, as a tool to improve their writing. So he didn't know how to do that. There was no good pedagogical reason. He didn't go through the training. I'm just repeating all those steps that I introduced in my model. So this is what happened. Using ChatGPT, write a 500-word essay discussing how, as global citizens, we can play a role in creating a cleaner Earth with reduced waste. So this is the assignment that Jack created. So Jack asked his students to use ChatGPT to write a 500-word essay on that topic. And this is an example. This is an example of one of those essays written by a student. And again, don't forget the level in terms of like the proficiency level was lower intermediate. Just take a look at this essay. Just look at the choice of word. It is obvious that it is beyond the capability of a second language writer with lower proficiency, lower intermediate proficiency. So why did it happen? It's because that's exactly what Jack asked his students to do. To use ChatGPT, write a 500-word essay. That was it. So some of the problems were lack of assignment guidelines, absence of a model example, and product versus process. This has been my concern for many years, I would say for more than a decade, that a lot of second language writers, they just focus on the product, which is the final outcome, the essay. They don't care about the process. I don't want to say I don't care about the product because that's very important, but I care more about the process. I want to know how my students get there. So that's why I argue that second language teachers, when it comes to second language writing, they should shift their focus from product to process. That's what I did with Jack. So I trained him, and this is the revised version of his assignment. Again, in his original assignment, he encouraged his students to write 500 words on that topic using ChatGPT. This is what I did to his assignment, and you would see the difference. So here we said, write a 500-word essay discussing how, as global citizens, we can play a role in creating a cleaner earth with reduced waste. You see, it's the same topic. But we are not asking the students to write it with ChatGPT. We are asking the students to write it themselves. Then paste your essay into ChatGPT and give it the following prompt. So you see, even in the assignment, we created a prompt that the students can use. So what is the prompt? I'm an English language learner with lower intermediate proficiency. I wrote this essay to discuss my role as a global citizen in contributing to a cleaner earth with reduced waste. Please review my essay, identify any mistakes, grammatical, punctuation, etc., and provide corrections. Then revise the essay by correcting my errors without rewriting the entire essay. See, then the next step in the assignment is please submit your essay. Which one? The original one, which was written by the student, along with a list of mistakes identified by ChatGPT, the recommended corrections, and the revised version of your essay. But remember, in the prompt, we're telling ChatGPT to revise the essay, but only by correcting the errors without writing the entire essay. You know what happens? This is what you're going to get as a teacher. Instead of getting a text like this, which wasn't written by the student, you're going to get this. You're going to get the original essay, which you can see it has a lot of writing, grammar, spelling, coherence, cohesion, all these issues, from not capitalizing I to, wrong choice of word, and a lot of other issues, very typical of second language writers, especially lower intermediate level. So you're going to get this, which is the first draft. Then you're going to also get this one, which is ChatGPT's response to that student, because that was part of the assignment. Again, let's go back to the assignment. Submit your essay. I'm reading the last part. Along with the list of mistakes identified by ChatGPT, the recommended corrections, and the revised version of your essay. So we get the first version of the essay written by the student. We get the correction list and the revised version of the essay, which is not a rewritten one. It's just revising, meaning that correcting those mistakes. And you can see that even it is explaining why those changes need to be made. And also we would get the revised essay. So here we are looking at the process from the original essay to errors to the revised version, instead of just getting the final product, which wasn't even written by the student. So not only are we shifting our focus from product to process, but also we are basically making it impossible for students to cheat, because that's another big concern that a lot of teachers have. How are we doing this? By integrating ChatGPT responsibly, and by asking our students to basically submit everything from the original essay to the list of the corrections needed and to the revised version of their essay. So I'm gonna stop here because I know we don't have a lot of time, and this is what I'm gonna do. Did I stop sharing my screen, Santiago? Yes, that worked. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna see if I can involve a couple of you in this process, because obviously this is gonna be useful for those of you who are interested in integrating AI into second language speaking as well. And I'm gonna share my screen again. And now do you see my screen, ChatGPT? Okay. So Santiago, would you open the floor to the participants? Or if we have any volunteer, I want to ask some questions and, with the help of that participant, create a speaking activity in action. Or we can use the chat. It depends on how you're going to manage it.
It's up to the participants. You can unmute yourselves and participate.
Or they can type in the chat. Basically, my question is, I need at least one person to answer this. What level you're teaching? Level of the students? What is the first language of the majority of your students? And what kind of activity you want to make? Because I want to show you in action how we can make a very bad speaking activity using ChatGPT and how we can make a good one, like those examples for writing. I wanted to get some input from the audience first.
Can you please repeat the questions level?
The question, what level? What is the first language of the students? And what kind of a speaking activity you want? Okay, so we have one answer. That's good. High school, Spanish, think, pair, and share activity, or role plays. Okay, we have more than one. Thank you so much. So let's start with this. We have high school students. So Isaac, would you let us know if you are in Colombia? Are we talking about Colombian second language learners? Think, pair, share activity, or role plays. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. First, I'm going to give a very stupid prompt to ChatGPT. Start with that. El Salvador. Okay, great. Another Spanish-speaking country. Okay, so I'm going to say, create a speaking activity. So this is not the way that you should be doing it. I'm just going to teach you some of the mistakes that teachers make, So what is the problem with saying create a speaking activity? First of all, we didn't make it clear what kind of activity we want. Speaking is just a world, it's too big. Second, we didn't mention anything about the level of these students. Third, we didn't give any background knowledge about the students culturally or first language of the students, even the country, nothing. So what it created is, it's a speaking activity. What is the objective? Participants will improve their storytelling, descriptive and public speaking skills. Maybe this is not what we wanted, but we didn't tell ChatGPT. So if you were like those participants in my research study, you would say, oh, ChatGPT only is good at creating this. The speaking activities are not good. But that's because of the prompt. So the reason that I wanted to do this is that so you get what you ask for. Here we didn't specify anything. Of course, we're going to get something general like this. So let me create a new chat because I don't want to use that as the background knowledge. So now let's go to what Isaac said. If I can find it, high school Spanish think, pair, and share activity or role play. So I'm going to say create a speaking activity for my English. You are in El Salvador, so I think it would be English as a foreign language. And by the way, you don't need to worry about your spelling, grammar, anything like that when it comes to your prompt. That's the only time as teachers you don't need to worry about that because it's gonna recognize everything. So create a speaking activity for my, I would say for my EFL students whose first language, you said the Spanish, yeah? Okay, I will specify that later. Let's say create a speaking activity for my EFL students from El Salvador. I'm thinking what I'm gonna ask because I want to show you again a couple of other issues. Let me do this. We speak Spanish, include cultural elements. Create a speaking activity for my EFL students who speak Spanish, include cultural elements. Let's say a role play speaking, because that's what Isaac said. So I'm going to tell you what I did here. There's something wrong here, and I did that on purpose. Okay, so let's just forget about the introduction. What is the activity? A cultural exchange fair to enhance spoken English skills through a cultural exchange scenario, encouraging the students to share aspects of Spanish-speaking countries. That's exactly what I wanted ChatGPT to do, which is wrong, so that you can see that. So here what I said they are EFL students who speak Spanish. I didn't specify the country. In many cases, that's wrong because especially if you're worried about integrating cultural elements, not every single Spanish country in the world have the same cultural, celebrations and everything. So here, when we do not specify the country, it just says Spanish-speaking country. So again, it's going to be very general. So you can see that obviously this prompt is way better than the previous one. But even by not saying from what country, again, you're going to get something general. So let's just fix this step by step. Again, a new chat. So here, this time I'm going to say create a role play speaking activity for my EFL students who speak Spanish. They are all from El Salvador, and I would like you to include cultural elements in this activity, which is specific to their country. There's also another issue, so I'm going to ask the participants to tell me what we can add to even make it better. But so far, I think it's good. So let's just see what happens. Okay, so I'm not interested in reading the introduction now. Okay, so planning a cultural festival in El Salvador. So you see the change now from Spanish-speaking countries, even by mentioning that. So the whole goal of this demonstration is to tell you that by adding as much information as you can get a better response. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. She mentioned level, and also Arthur mentioned the same thing. That's great. We're going to add that. Okay, so let's look at this. So we have the objective, we have the level intermediate, but that's not what we said. We didn't say anything about the level, so it just created for intermediate students. So that's exactly what we should be concerned about, because this is not what we asked for. Okay, so but it is better. I think you agree that at least it's way better than the ones we created in the beginning. So let's say create a role play speaking activity for my EFL students with. So we're gonna use the A1, B1. What are we gonna say? Do you agree with A2 level? Is that good? We can put that even in parentheses. So A2 level. Who speak Spanish. So basically, we're talking about basic or elementary in terms of language proficiency. They're all from El Salvador. Just because of the time, there is something else missing. I want to first see if anyone can add that. Okay. Just to save the time. we didn't specify if we wanted a group activity, an individual activity, and how much time we're going to spend on this, and if it is an activity that we would like to do in the classroom. Some of these speaking activities can be like assignments, like homework assignments. So we need to specify that. So let's do that. I have 25 minutes for this activity. And I would like to use it in my classroom, but please create a homework speaking activity as a follow-up. So now we are even asking to consider the time and also create like a homework assignment, like a follow-up assignment that they can use at home. So let's see what happens. Okay, so students will practice speaking skills through role-playing. Level is A2, time is 25 minutes. You see all the details? These are what we asked for. Materials needed, printed images of Salvadorian cultural symbols. So index cards with role descriptions and scenario tasks. Okay, then we have the steps, we have the activities. Again, because we don't have time, so I'm not going to read everything. Well, let me tell you what would be the next step. If you are using GPT-4, here's what I would do as a teacher. I don't have time to go and create all these materials needed. So I would ask ChatGPT, I'll say, thank you. Please create the index card with role descriptions and scenario tasks for me. Let's see what happens. So I even asked to create the materials that I'm going to use in my classes. So these are the index cards for the activity. Okay. And what was the other material that we needed? Oh, okay. This is cool. See, it was like printed images of Salvadorian cultural symbols. Okay. So this is what I'm going to ask next. Okay, so I'm going to stop this because obviously for the sake of demonstration, we don't need this. Please create 10 images of the Salvadorian cultural symbols. And I would like to ask Isaac if the pictures are good. I should have probably said 5 because it takes some time, but anyway, it's at 10. I'm going to stop it later. So it is now creating the images for me. And all I'm doing is trying to make your life as a teacher easier. Because if your life as a teacher is already hard, you don't have time. If you're gonna use a tool which creates more, tasks for you, I don't like that. I want okay, so created one. Would you write in the chat box if it is something that you would consider as culturally appropriate? I'm just curious. See, not really. So would you tell me what the problem is? That's so good because I want to improve the picture.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
First, the school that we see there.
Yeah.
That is not appropriate for El Salvador. That's for Mexicans.
Okay. Is there a specific cultural celebration or something that you do which is specific for El Salvador so that I can ask it to create that?
Basically, when we talk about Fiestas Julias or Fiestas Agostinas, we have different symbols. Like here in the city where I live in, we usually have something we call jaripeo, like bull riding. So that's
could you put it in the chat so that I can copy paste it?
Yeah, sure.
That would be great. Yeah, see, that's what you can do. You can play with the images even. So if you are not happy with this, you say, okay, so this is good. Some parts of it is good, but here's how you can improve it. So basically, as you can see, it's going to give you what you ask for. And that is the whole point. And what we said regarding the level, proficiency, we said A2. So if you have a set of standards, which is specific for your school, if you have set of guidelines, you can even give that as a kind of input to ChatGPT and ask to create an assignment based on that. So I was so curious to see how it does in terms of the cultural stuff. So you can see that it was able to include everything. So I think, Santiago, just because of time, I think I'm going to stop here and then continue the discussion. So you may want to open the floor while we will try to improve the picture as well. But thank you so much for your time and for paying attention to my presentation.
Yeah, no, this was great. I actually see pupusas in that image. So
okay.
That's definitely from El Salvador.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's bigger now.
The pupusas, which are similar to arepas in Colombia.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I got some more. This is good, but create an image with the following cultural elements. And I'm just gonna paste what Isaac put in the chat and see what happens. In the meantime, I think we can see if others have any questions while we are waiting for this.
Yeah, in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box or feel free to unmute yourselves. And you are free to ask any questions.
So you let me know, Isaac, if you think this is better. Did it improve based on the prompt?
Yeah, that's way better.
Okay, so you see, even on the second attempt, it gave us a picture which is way better than the first one. So basically, you need to work on it, and continue revising your prompts and adding more and more information. Okay, so let's see if I add any other slides. Good. Okay, so apparently there are no other questions.
Yeah, we have a question from the audience.
Yeah, I'm just sharing my email address in case anyone is interested in staying in touch with me. Yeah, so what is the question?
The question is from Cristina Tovar. Are there any other websites or AI pages that you recommend?
Oh, yeah, there are a lot of them. It's sometimes even hard to keep up with all the new ones. So if you have access to, let me see if I can basically show this. If you have access to GPT-4, like I do, so you can basically go and click here, which says Explore GPTs. So it has a lot of other GPTs here. So let's say I'm gonna say I don't know, language learning. If I can find anything specific here. Yeah, I'm gonna search for this language learning. So see, this is like an adaptive virtual language tutor for personalized learning, and you get access to all of these AI tools if you have access to GPT-4. So, but you can see how many they have just for language learning. Another one that you may wanna try is basically is called Bard. I'm sure you have heard of that. It's like a Google kind of thing. That's also a good one that you can use. So the free version, I think, is very good for teachers. Let's see if I can show it to you. This is another one that I think now it is part of that Gemini. So it used to be called Bard. So this is another one that you can use. So you know what? It would be fun if we can make a comparison. Let's go back to this prompt, the original prompt that we had, and let's see what Gemini can do for us. So basically, pasting the same prompt. So it's even giving us the images without asking. So, and the images come from other websites with links, which is cool. So this is another one that you may want to explore. And even see it has the worksheet prompts in Spanish. We could obviously ask for that from ChatGPT, but it just took it for granted that we may need that. So this is another one that you may want to explore. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we have another question in the chat. It's about rubrics. Fernando says, how about rubrics AI generated?
Well, like any other thing that you would like to create with AI, you need to provide as much input as possible, because I have done that for rubric. But at the end of the day, for rubric, I think you know better than anyone else what sections or what you're looking for basically in an assignment. But if you're creating like an assignment from scratch using AI, it would be a good idea to ask for rubrics. But if it is for an assignment which you have already created, it is fine to use AI to create a rubric. But the thing is that you need to provide as much input as possible, because you're not creating the assignment with AI. So that could be a little bit challenging, but it is possible. So basically, the way that you need to handle it is exactly like what I showed you. Basically, you need to specify what you're looking for. If you're dealing with like points, everything, like and who should receive like complete the score, who is going to get like half of it. So it's very complicated, because it's based on what you as the teacher looks for in that assignment. Yeah.
All right.
And remember, when it comes to AI, sorry, just one point, because you asked what platforms do I recommend. Again, I recommended that Google, now it is called Gemini, Google Gemini, as something which is similar to ChatGPT, having in mind that most of the participants in this talk are teachers and they want to create materials. There are obviously other AI tools for various other purposes as well. So you may want to explore those too.
Right. Well, it seems like we don't have any more questions from the participants.
Yeah, and you have my email, so stay in touch if you would like to, stay connected, ask any questions later. So.
Absolutely. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Amin Dawoodi, for your presentation. This was a very insightful topic, and I'm pretty sure that it is very useful for many teachers who are interested in implementing AI. Yeah, thank you everyone for participating and for attending this event. Don't forget that if you want an attendance certificate, you need to fill out this form that I'm sharing in the chat. And also please take the satisfaction survey that is also in the chat box. And yeah, we will send the certificate early next week. Thank you again. And don't forget to follow us on our social networks. And yeah, thank you again. And have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Recording stopped.